Everyone online is arguing about fix and flips, Airbnbs, single family rentals, which is better, wholesaling, but nobody's really talking about the asset class that quietly creates real wealth. Hey, real quick, if you like real estate content that actually makes you money, subscribe and like this video, push it out to the algorithm so other people can enjoy it just like you. Today I'm going to be breaking down exactly why 5 to 30 unit apartment buildings, these are the deals that absolutely destroy single family rentals, short-term rentals, fix and flips, wholesaling, and even 2 to 4 unit small multifamily. So let's start with single family. Single family rentals are sold as passive, right? But they're actually very fragile. Let's break down a specific single family rental and show you how this works. So let's presume for a minute you buy this single family home for $300,000. Put $60,000 down. That's 20%. That's what's going to be required for a rental property. You're getting $2,200 a month in rent. You're all in expenses, including the mortgage, taxes, insurance, everything, about $1,800, $400 a month in cash flow. Okay? One vacancy, that goes from that to zero overnight. You're wearing all the risk on one tenant, right? You go from 100% to 0% overnight. So key problem points. The appreciation, it's dependent on this, right? The properties and the value and what you're earning are dependent on. Limited depreciation scales painfully slow. You don't build freedom stacking $400 a month properties with full liability. You know this if you're in it. Now let's go to Airbnbs. Airbnbs, they look sexy until the city council meeting to change the ordinances. Let's take a look at the financials. All right, so let's take this Airbnb property, similar single family, but rather than doing long-term, we're going to do short-term rental on it. $300,000 purchase, $60,000 down payment. That's your investment into the thing. You're grossing at $6,000 a month in rents, $4,000 in total expenses, including the 20% management fee. And you should not be managing these things completely alone on your own. You can, but you better, it's a full-time job. So best of luck on that one if you have another career. Now we're netting $2,000 a month. Now that's on a good month. That's on a best case scenario. Here are the hidden risks. Regulations change overnight. You've seen this happen. Seasonal incomes, they fluctuate. Active management. Business risk, not housing risk. You don't own real estate, you own a hospitality business. All right, let's talk about the fix and flips. Flips are not investing. They're jobs with a capital risk. I've done it, we still do it. Now let's break down a typical fix and flip. Let's call it in the middle part of the country with an average priced home like the one we've been talking about. $300,000 purchase, $60,000 rehab, $40,000 in holding costs, closing costs, interest carry, all that stuff, right? You go sell that thing for $450,000. You're making $50,000 net. Now look, we still do some fix and flips. There's nothing wrong with the transactional game, but you're not going to be getting wealthy off of this. And here's the problems with fix and flips. There is no cash flow. It's not passive by any means. Ordinary income taxes will wipe a lot of stuff out. One bad flip wipes out all of the wins you've had. You get paid once, one time, and then you start over. It's very transactional. You know this. Now let's talk about wholesaling. It's great for learning and getting started, but terrible for long-term wealth. Inconsistent income. Zero tax advantages, no asset ownership, no appreciation. You're building hustle, not equity. Typical assignment fees, $10,000 to $20,000, and you're hustling like you can't imagine. And there sometimes is a lot of out of pocket with the marketing direct to the owners. Now let's talk about duplexes and quads. Most people think small multifamily means 2 to 4 units. It doesn't. Key limitations around this, still valued like a residential property. Emotion-based pricing, not true operational upside. Hard to add the professional management into it due to the small amount. Duplexes rent, right, when it increases, it's capped by the comps in the area. Expenses are inefficient, no economies of scale. 2 to 4 units are training wheels. They don't scale. We started there. I totally get it. Now, there are some pros to the 2 to 4 unit space. It's a nice place to start. We did as well. But what you're going to find out, if I had to do it all over again, I would have started with one rental as we did. And then knowing what I know about this kind of apartment game and OPM, we could leverage our money with other people's money to grow and scale. I'm going to show you how this works and why you should be doing it too. Even as a newbie, you should be starting at 5+ unit deals all the way up to 30 unit deals for your first one. Why 10 to 30 unit multifamily wins across the board. The greatest thing about multifamily, it's valued based on the income, not emotion. It's a business. Let's take an example of 20 units. So let's take this 20 unit property, purchasing it somewhere probably in the middle part of the country outside of the coastal zones, $2 million. Average rent, $1,000. That's $240,000 in gross annual annual rent. $140,000 in net operating income after all expenses, including not mortgage, but taxes, insurance, all the expenses on the property minus the mortgage payment. You take that over a cap rate of 6%. This is how you value multifamily. Unlike comparables where it's emotional around the neighborhood, when you get into business operations, which is multifamily, they use cap rates over the NOI. So 140,000 over the 6% gets you your value. Now, here's how the game of multifamily. This is how you win. You take the rents on that property and simply increase them by $100 a month per unit. That's an additional $24,000 a year in increased revenue. That increases the NOI after all the expenses and everything to about $153,000 a year. Take that same NOI over that 6% cap rate, and now simply by increasing the rent $100 per unit per month, you've now added $552,000 into your pocket simply by raising the rent $100 a month. That's it. You did nothing else other than push the rent through markets and some other things you may do operationally, and now you've taken that value from $2 million to $2,552,000. That is the beauty, and that's simply with the value appreciation. This isn't even talking about the cash flow yet. So now I want to show you a quick little case study. So this was Brian. He is a dog trainer. Okay, that is what he does for a career. He bought his first deal, a 22-unit deal in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Bought it for $1.4 million. Did $55,000 in renovation, closing costs of $84,000. Total all in of $1.540 million. Got a loan for just over $1 million, easier than getting a house loan, by the way, because it's based on the revenue. It's not you. They're not underwriting you. They're underwriting the property. That's why it's easier to get these loans, okay? It's a business. It's a business. It's a business. It's not a residential. Down payment, $450,000. Now, Brian didn't have all the money. He only had about $60,000, $70,000 in cash available to him. He brought in about $50,000, 10% of that, okay? As the syndicator owner-operator, he brought that in. For that, he got about 40% of the ownership of the building. He got 100% control and decision-making on the building, okay? Understand that. Big difference between ownership and control. Now, he also got an acquisition fee of 2%, $28,000. So he brought in 50, got 28,000 out literally within 7 days of closing on the deal. His $28,000 acquisition fee, it's built into the $84,000 up there, okay? That $28,000 is built into that closing cost of the total cost of the deal. And within 7 days of closing, he gets that. So he's out of pocket $22,000, owns a 22-unit multi-million-dollar apartment building in Tulsa, Oklahoma for $22,000 out of pocket. Compare that to a single family. Best of luck. You see how this works? OPM, other people's money, guys. You're leveraging and scaling with OPM. Your money with other people's money. He raised $400,000 from about 7 people. And those 7 people are getting 15 to 20% a year on their money. That's why they come into it. It's a good deal. It makes financial sense for them. They don't have to do any of the work. Brian's doing the work. Brian's returns, right? Your returns are going to look like this. So what did Brian get? Out of pocket $50,000. That's what he came out initially. Got a $28,000 acquisition fee. Physically out of pocket $22,000. What does this monthly look like? $3,200 a month in free cash flow to him. Then he gets a $350 asset management fee. That's another way you get paid. So total over the 4 years looks like this. $172,000 in profits that he got from the appreciation of the building. $153,000 in cash flow. Total of $325,000 when you add it up on $50,000 that initially went out. That's 162% internal rate of return. Plus on top of that, he got $55,000 in tax write-offs year one to wipe out his income. Are we having fun yet? This is how the game works. And how does it work? Because you have a skill set to pull this down. You have to learn it. So now let's get into the tax advantages of commercial multifamily properties. Take that $2 million deal. You in year one are going to get about 40 to 50% of that value, $800,000 in this case, in depreciation year one. That passes right through to you and your investors on that deal in the same calendar year on taxes to go wipe out your income taxes that you may be doing in your everyday job, career, things you're doing, depending on how you set it up. Then on top of that, you're getting for all you and your investors another $6,000 a year, years 2 through 5 is tax write-offs. So you can massively wipe out and completely avoid income taxes using this alone, right? And when you get into it and you understand it, you'll see what I'm talking about. The greatest part about this is you didn't wait 10 years to get the value. You forced it through value add on these apartments to get that bump in the rents and everything. You get all the economies of scale benefits, one roof, one insurance policy. pitfalls: professional management, bulk maintenance savings, vacancy doesn't kill you. One deal, you go from one unit being vacant, that's 90% occupied, not zero. If one tenant leaves in a 20 unit deal, you lose 5% of the income, not 100% on single family. As we mentioned, all the tax advantages. This is where wealthy investors separate themselves from the amateurs, through the bonus depreciation and cost segregation. Now let's talk about the 5 to 8 ways you get paid in multifamily. This is why multifamily is a wealth machine. Syndicators and owners who put these together get paid in multiple ways. Let's walk through them. Number one is the acquisition fee, typically 1 to 3% of the purchase price. In this case, 60 grand, 3%. Asset management fees, those are 1 to 2% of the revenue. Refinance fees when you refinance this thing right around year 3 and then towards. Construction management if you're renovating. Cash flow that you're getting monthly. Equity distributions for when the value goes up and you do this forced appreciation. Disposition fees down the road when you sell it. Then the tax write-offs that we already talked about. Right when you get into the zone of north of 5 units up to 30 units, it sits in the perfect zone. It's big enough for real money, small enough to find off-market deals, professional but not institutional, scalable, financeable, and protected by tax law. If you want to stop chasing deals and start building wealth, hit the subscribe button. I break this down step by step in other videos that I do. You have to realize that the reason why I'm focusing you on this kind of 5 to 30 unit space is because if you're new and you've never done this before, this is where you can operate and execute if you're brand new. It's mom and pop-ish. You can go in there, they're expecting you to be new or newer. They're expecting you not to have this elaborate track record. So you can get the loans, you can find the deals, you can make relationships. It's mom and pop brokers, mom and pop sellers, mom and pop lenders, mom and pop. You're still in that target zone where you can be newer and new and you can execute this game. So I hope this makes sense. I hope this video, you really enjoyed it. Make sure you pass this on and share this and like it and subscribe so you can find other videos just like this.